Hey guys, this is Tyler here. I want to talk to you guys why so many smart guys get left behind in the US. A lot of people here think, especially dumber folks or just average folks, think that if you're really smart, be enormously wealthy, you'll have so many opportunities in places like the US, Canada. Often it's not like this. In fact, there's a well-known YouTube channel. It's called Versadium. It's like a science slash math and engineering channel that I sometimes watch. And they were showing a correlation between IQ and economics, like average income and net worth. And surprisingly enough, there's not as much of a correlation as people often think in the US. It's actually across the board, it's fairly even, I guess you could say. Or another way of putting it is that there's basically people that comprise all social classes that are represented by the highest IQ people. Even in the very lowest category, this is the case. And people wonder, why is that? Keep in mind, a lot of super smart people are not very egotistical. They don't know the right people, possibly didn't even go to advanced education, possibly are just content doing more mundane work. Now, there's other factors here at play also. We're dealing with this DEI situation at a whole different level in North America. I should say the US. It's so exasperated now. Yes, we have a President Trump in office. Has he really had a lot of impact on this? No. Things like DEI, imagine how many decades this has been in effect. A long time. We're talking years or a few generations to reverse these absolutely disastrous policies. And keep in mind, like in a lot of the STEM fields now, jobs that would have just almost automatically gone to a guy, now they're putting a lot of women in those jobs. People always hear about AI. They're reducing the workforce or giving more responsibilities to less people. Yeah, this is part of it. But another big factor is just simply that you have a lot of migrant people you're competing with, and probably more importantly, it's a lot more women for jobs that even 30 years ago you wouldn't have been competing against. And this is huge. Quite intelligent people that would have gone into those jobs end up getting kind of pushed aside. Also, look at what the US values. Look at what our society embraces. It's an attention economy. It's an actor type of society. It's very fictitious, very nepotistic now. I can't tell you how many people I've known of where the only reason they were able to get a well-paid job was because they knew the right people. Remember what I said earlier, a lot of higher IQ people, they're not very extroverted, not very sociable. They're more modest people. They keep to themselves. And obviously this doesn't enhance your prospects when you look at how the US society is designed, unless their family, like their parents or siblings, know the right people. It makes it really tricky. And I'll tell you guys something here. I have a good friend from Russia. His name is Sasha, and Sasha is a very smart Russian. Like, he's in the top 1% of people in software engineering fields. He's a full stack developer. He studied math and physics through graduate level. So he has master's degrees in these, and I believe he was doing a PhD. He is on the higher end of the economy there, but he still isn't in true upper class of Russian society, and his parents were probably a little above average. But you would think this guy, I mean, he is brilliant when it comes to, you give him equations, scientific, like chemistry, and then more importantly, stuff related to software development, full stack development, programming. He is so well versed. And even this fellow, he's not like in the top 1% as far as I know in Russian society. And I think you would see a similar parallel here in the US. A person like him, you'll see people doing these sometimes low paid jobs, minimum wage jobs. They're not even working in these advanced areas. You would think, oh, they're working for NASA, they're working for some software giant. No, they might just be working as a dishwasher. And it's such a disgrace. This is obviously one of the big factors why, of many, the US society, the system just continues to decline with each passing year. Who do these jobs go to? Well, let's look at like a common issue that we've seen the past few years that continues to be brought up in the news. Air traffic control issues. There's been multiple incidents where they've made these errors, mistakes. And why is that? Well, historically, this was a very competent job. You couldn't be some dummy in this job. And I don't think most can still be a dummy. You have to be both smart and just fast. You have to be fast at solving problems, thinking critically, etc. When you look at how they hire, as far as I know, these jobs often are tied to the federal government. So they have quota. And what do you think happens? They put people in those jobs that clearly don't belong. And that's a big part of the critical errors that are taking place. You see the same issue in other job sectors because these smarter people aren't being put in those positions. They're putting dummies or their counterparts, whether it's, if you want to compare men or women, it's the female counterpart that's not nearly as smart, that doesn't have the same background. It's like a common example I use, even when you look at the police officers. Many guys who want to be police officers in the US need to have military backgrounds. They need to have been in high stress combat situations before to work for many of these departments. Often you don't see the same kind of requirements for women. They're even put as detectives without any kind of military or extraordinary stress environment or proof of experience in that type of environment. This is the double standard I'm talking. So many guys are pushed to the wayside, and there's this false notion. I used to even think this: the brightest, the best people, those are the people that really get ahead, that run the US society. No, it's actually not often like that. It's actually a lot of dummies that run our society that are put at the top. Look at a lot of these well-known elites, your Gary Vaynerchuks, your Grant Cardone. Yeah, they're awesome at marketing, as salespeople. Those aren't smart guys, though. Those aren't like what I would call proper high IQ people. They're good talkers, they're good at selling crap, but I would venture to say that there's people that work as, say, electricians that have way more critical and analytical skills than guys like Vaynerchuk or Grant Cardone. And that's why I said America is an attention economy at this point. It's not an economy that's driven on real hard skills. I can't tell you, like, I see these influencers start companies and then people are scammed by these influencers. There was a well-known case out of Texas. I can't remember the couple's name, and they were sentenced to prison recently. These people claim to be home builders, interior designers, and I laugh because people that really have those kind of skills, coming from someone who works in education, who works with students, they are not attention-seeking people. That's the main core point. There's some exceptions to that, but most real high IQ people are, like I said, they're introverted. They're not attention seekers. Also, the US workforce is just simply put way oversaturated with people. There's just too many bodies for not enough jobs, and this is another major obstacle. It's so unfortunate to see how many guys are just being totally shafted. The labor force, job market, stateside. It's funny because you still hear these boomers reeling on about just bullshit. Your Dave Ramsey's and guys like influencers are so hypercritical, the millennial generation especially. But these bozos did nothing to improve the systems in the US as far as keeping the system in favor of meritocracy, of people being promoted and hired based on raw merit. And a lot of guys like myself, they just can't get actual jobs. They have part-time jobs, they have gigs. Many guys feel like they can only do it on their own. They have to seek things out on their own. Yeah, many guys are just left out. And so higher IQ guys, many now also are not going to college. They're not pursuing relationships, marriage. which is probably another motivator historically that helped smarter guys get ahead. They would be motivated because they had wives, they had children. Now they don't have that. There's guys that had parents that were doctors, engineers, scientists, and that kid now may not even go to college. Their kid. That would be unfathomable, even for millennials. If both your parents were STEM professionals, almost guaranteed they would end up going to college and at least doing something semi-quantitative or somewhat STEM based. But now it's not like that. It's unbelievable the times that we're living. Yeah, America is not a place built on meritocracy in most cases. There's some exceptions to that for sure. Like STEM fields, I think, are more merit-based, but the highly academic areas, now, don't even get me started on like areas of academia, universities, colleges. I've interviewed with a few colleges. People might not know this here. I have a graduate degree in a STEM field. Of course, those interviews don't go anywhere. They are so liberal, the U.S. colleges, and driven on their own agendas. My brother actually had a good friend from Russia, worked at my brother's university in Russia, and the guy was probably in his late 30s. He had been offered jobs at prestigious Ivy League schools. He wouldn't take them. He said he would have to compromise his values. He was very paranoid of just being in the US and saying or doing something that could get him arrested. He was like, no, I'm just going to stay in Russia, continue working at a Russian university, continue to build a life. That's the reality of what we live in now. Yeah, higher IQ guys are going to continue to get pushed down, cut down. And another final factor, you see this in schools. Will they even have these fair opportunities once they finish and go into the workforce? Often not. No, like I said, there's exceptions. I think more of the higher IQ you guys are going into trade-based fields. They're starting to really spread their wings and explore other areas, which I think is awesome. There's still a lot of potential in these other fields and keeps countries running, I should say. There's a lot of pride in those fields. But give me your feedback, guys, on this video, and thank you.